So, hey guys, Chauzu here. So we finally got the confirmation of the new badge. There was a lot of speculation what it will be. We all were pretty sure it will be Uta, but will it be red focus or will it be like a general October birthday focus? And it ended up being, well, both birthday, but mainly red. And the excuse is that we're celebrating Uta's birthday. So, yes, from now on, every October 1st, we should get a new Uta badge. I think that sounds good. But yeah, joke aside, I'm pretty happy with this badge. It looks like we're getting a movie mount. Looks like it's confirmed that the sword is going to be the 6+2. We know the treasure map will be his lackeys, whatever you call them. I've honestly not watched that movie. Should probably do it. But for now, let's focus on our new units. I think I'll do like I often do. I'm going to go out do a quick run through initial impressions. Then I'll do a video about both Uta and Kizaru and Fuji. And I think both are pretty cool. Kizaru Fuji mainly for a new mechanic, and Uta because she has some cool combos with old characters and also just strong on her own. But yeah, let's take a look. So Uta is now a Sai free spirit shooter. So first Sai Legend Uta, first free spirit Legend Uta, but another shooter, and I'm so happy that she's shooter. Like, you know, I have a soft spot for them, and this is just another buff of the many we've got for shooters in general. She has a super tandem, which doesn't look like the best, but better than not having anything, I guess. Barrier pan is always appreciated, and she also has slot bind. Not having crit is pretty weird when you look at what Kizaru and Fuji does, but it is what it is. She's also a Sai super type, which we have many of, but yeah, I'm fine with that. Let's just go in order here. So we start with the special first. First, Uta changes her slot, including block slot, to tandem, and prevents character slots from being changed until you hit the perfect. So basically, you have the perfect lock. And there's so much info here, so I think we have to break it down one step at a time. So first this. I'm actually super hyped about this because this basically means you can have a permanent super tandem as long as you don't remove the ore block. So I'm happy they finally did this for some super tandem unit, but I will say that I'm not super excited for this for Uta herself. I'm excited about this because this makes this Uta a perfect partner for Lakaru and Ben Beckman. You know, the best legend of 2022, in my opinion, of course. But yeah, this means that just with Uta and Lakaru and Beckman, you can always get their super tandem, which is not the best, but you only need 2 units, so that makes it automatically a lot better than it should be. And you can just keep using it every single stage as long as you have Uta's orb locked, so that's very cool. Another very cool thing with this Uta is that if she's a crewmate, you can swap her to captain for 5 turns. And this is cool because she has the Uta buff that you get new buffs every turn for 3 stages. So this means that you can use her as a sub until it's time for her to take the spotlight, become captain, and then at any point you can also cancel this with the super type. We'll get back to that. And this means you can use a captain that like is a speedrun captain or resist stuff. Then you can get Uta up, do what you want with her, and then if you feel like you want the old captain back, you can just cancel it at any point. It's a great bonus on her kit that makes her a lot better. And as for what her Uta buff does, first it says it reduces crew special bind duration by 6 turns when special is launched and turn begins. Basically, this works for every single turn. So say you use Uta stage 3 and you have special bind, you remove the special bind and get the other stuff, we'll get to that. But on stage 4, if you have special bind, you will also remove that special bind by 6 turns. And final stage, special bind removed by 6 turns. So this is basically a 3-turn reduce special bind by 6 turns, which is pretty dope, not going to lie. Makes her kit even better. It's a very good bonus. And yeah, when launching the special, you Psy, Free Spirit, and Shooters get an attack boost 2.5 times per one turn. Then, when a turn has passed, Psy, Free Spirit, and Shooters get a 2.75 times attack boost for 3 turns, and a 2 times delay conditional for 3 turns. So this is a bit of a change from old Uta. Old Uta always got a new buff every turn, but now on the second turn you get all the remaining buffs, and then on the third turn the attack boost and delay conditional is just boosted by plus 0.25. So yeah, I'm not sure what I think about that, but basically if you care about that, you can just use Uta a turn later and just use her on 2 different stages, like if enemies going to delete buffs or such. Speaking of deleting buffs, if crew buffs are deleted before you've got all the effects, you still get a 2.75 times attack boost. So that's a good compromise, I guess, but you don't get the delay conditional. So not as strong as the OG Uta, but different, and different is good, in my opinion. This looks very useful. And if crew has turn progress activated effect, so that's Uta's buff basically, you get a chain boundary instead for 3 turns. So that's very cool. And I say one cool thing about this Uta in general, getting new Uta buff, is that as for the old Uta buffs, they didn't really work well together, so you couldn't really hybrid well. So you needed, but now we can actually hybrid 2 different Uta, in particular the Shooter Uta 6++ with the new Uta, and you can pick which Uta buff you want. And for the other buff, you can get the secondary effect. So if you use this with the 6++ Uta, she will give an attack and orb boost, of course. And then you can use this Uta and you get a chain boundary. And you also, of course, have the captain abilities of both Uta that can be useful together. We'll get to that now when we look at the captain ability. So, Psy, Free Spirit, Shooter, 1.3 times HP, 5.25 times attack, 5.5 times attack when you have Psy or tandem slots. Tandem slots are matching slot effect, higher chance of landing on tandem slots, resist the spear by 10 turns, and you can overheal. So yeah, can't complain, that's a super solid captain. Doesn't even matter much that it doesn't have any speedrun potential, since Uta herself can just be a sub, works very well. So yeah, you have utility, you have good numbers, even overheal, and then you have that crazy special. And to get back to the synergy between 6++ Uta and the new Uta, so basically 6++ Uta resists the paralysis, special reverse. This Uta lets you resist the spear. If you use this Uta special, you can also basically resist special bind for 3 turns. So that's quite an amazing captain combo. And you can still get the secondary effect of their specials, or if it's a long content, like if you want to have fun with like Revo 2 or something, then you can just have 2 very strong buffs for a lot of turns. So being able to hybrid Uta together is going to be a lot of fun. And I also very much look fun to try out Luckaroo and Beckman combo. Sailor, Psy, Free Spirit, Shooters, tandem slots have matching slot effects. And Psy, Free Spirit, and Shooter character's base attack is increased by 100. I would say one very bad thing about this Uta is the fact that she doesn't resist special bind as sub. That's actually very bad. I just took for granted that she did. This makes her quite a bit weaker, since she can't remove special bind on the initial use, only if it drops up in the future. But if you use her as captain, you can use the super type for that, but that's also not optimal, because if you look at her super type, and you need Luffy Shanks or any of the Shanks pirates, since all of these are getting rare recruits. Maybe one of them is a PKA free-to-play unit. And, oh, it's a support. Okay, support first. Pretty dope support. Any of them can remove special bind by 5 turns. So that's very cool. basically lets any of them resist basically any special bind you can get to use their special. These supports are still pretty niche, but 5 turns makes it still the best of its type so far. As for the super tandem, same conditions as the support, Luffy, Shanks, his crew. And basically, 2 times attack boost, tandem for Cypher, Spirit and shooters. And you get matching slot effects for type slots for 1 turn. So a pretty bread and butter super tandem, but since this is a normal legend, can't really expect more than that. As said, I'm mostly excited to pair this Uta with Lucky Roo and Ben Beckman, which has a better super tandem just because you only need 2 units. And finally, let's go to the super type because it's pretty important. When any 4 of the following characters are on the crew, and it's Luffy, Shanks, and the same again. I forgot to mention that Gordon is here. He's obviously not a Shanks pirate. And basically here you can cancel the captain swap effect, so you can remove it at any time. You reduces character special bind duration by 6 turns. Delays enemies by 1 turn, ignoring immunity to delay or status effects. And you get a heal, 15k HP. And Psy becomes Super Psy. So yeah, basically we have the special bind dilemma here. If you want to resist special bind on the first turn you use this special, you have to be captain, use the super type to remove it from Uta, and then she can remove it from the rest with her special. But of course this means you use up your delay conditional, so you do less damage. But for some content this might be optimal. But of course, if you want to do some real damage, you want to try and avoid this scenario. So that's like the only really negative with this unit. Otherwise, great, normal legend. Look forward to using her a lot. I will not be pulling since I'm on a pull hiatus, but I look forward to getting her, but I will still make some teams with her as Frank Captain for sure. I'm pretty excited about this. And now let's go back to, or go to Fuji and Kizaru. I noticed that 400% makes this a bit laggy, so if next time I do a video like this, I'll just enlarge the picture more. I could probably do it now because this choppiness is getting annoying. And it's pretty easy to do it anyway, I was just lazy. So I can just make it really big without losing any quality. I like this program. And now I can probably do like 200. Maybe make it a bit less. Something like that. Okay. So Kizaru and Fuji. Slasher shooter in duo form. Not sure about solo form. Like Kizaru can often be slasher, but Fuji doesn't really have any shooters. So I'm interested to see what the single classes are. But it looks like Kizaru will be Psy and Fuji Int, will make sense. Also makes sense with their captain ability since they are Int Psy boosters. And yeah, they have a final tap, they have Barrier Pen as well, and a critical hit. And critical hit is a big part of their kit. So we knew we had a data mine about a new critical hit ability. We thought it will be for a super Sugofest. But they actually saved it for Kizaru and Fuji, so that's pretty hilarious in my opinion. Okay, so first when you use their special, you do 10 hits, 50 times charge attack in non-type damage to random enemies. So this can be used if you have like tap barriers where you have to tap a lot of times, which is pretty rare. But in the JP showcase video, they did use Kizaru and Fuji for this. Slasher and shooters get a critical boost rate by 30%, so basically not all crits are 100%. So I'm not sure if this means that 70% crit rate potential abilities become 100%, or if it's increased by 30%, which it says. So guess we have to wait and see. Like 30% increase, like that doesn't even make 80% crit rate, which is pretty common, 100% guaranteed. So that looks pretty sus to me. Should probably just make it so you always hit a crit. That makes sense to me. You also boost damage dealt when landing a critical hit by 75%. And I don't know if this is enough to make crits good. Like, crits in general is one of the most overrated potential abilities. It adds very little damage. And I'm not sure if increasing very little damage by 75% is that much of a benefit. But at least it's extra damage, and it's a unique buff. So we take it. Going to be fun to experiment with. I look forward to see what the math guys have to say about the viability of it. Reduces enemies' HP by 10% at end of turn for 3 turns, which is very good. I'm just a bit puzzled about this due to the captain ability. We'll get to that later. Lets you bypass resilience mainly, which is good. You become Kizaru and Fuji for 3 turns. And if captain is slasher or shooter, you get a chain growth rate increase by up to plus 0.7. And it increases only if you hit perfects. And this to me is pretty weird because in the end, Kizaru Fuji debuts with the new Uta. New Uta has a perfect lock. She wants to avoid hitting perfect, but then you don't get any chain increase. So not sure what that's all about. Not the best synergy, so to say. Uta should have really had a great lock. That would have been even better. But yeah, is it a solid special? I don't know if I think this is a solid special. Like, it's some damage, it's some crit. I will say crit memes because this doesn't look that legit. End of turn damage, and you get chain multiplier growth rate increase. Like, I'm struggling to see a content where I'm like, oh, this will be perfect for Kizaru and Fuji. Like, at least not just from the special. So yeah, I say the special is not the best, but it's interesting. Captain ability, -1 CD, Psy-in / shooter, 1.3 times HP, 5.25 times attack, 5.5 times attack with Psy-in tandem slots, high chance of landing on tandem, Psy-in tandem matching slot effects, crew cannot be blown away, which sounds a bit weird, but sure, it's a good ability to have. If 3 or more slashers are on the crew, you get an end of turn damage, 10% end of turn. And I said, pretty weird since their special already does that. So usually captain ability and special don't really overlap like that. If 3 or more shooter characters are on the crew, you add plus 0.2 to the minimum chain multiplier value. So that's a very minimal benefit from running slashers and shooters, I'd say. So captain ability as well, not the best. Sailor, slasher, shooters, tandem slots have matching slot effects. Normal swap. Other sailor, you're immune to remove SFX, so that's always good to have, I'd say. Swap. You change character slots to tandem, and you apply -50% slash and shoot resistance to all enemies for 1 turn. Sure, like, it's okay, not the most exciting. Super swap, changes character slot and adjacent slots to tandem, and applies -30% slash and shoot resistance to all enemies for 1 turn. Like, it's a bit weird that they are tandem focused since we don't really have anyone to really super tandem well with them. So maybe we to Sengoku or something, but I wonder if this implies that we're getting another admiral with super tandem, maybe a certain admiral at the end of Wano, wink wink, possibly, who knows. Final tap is okay. It's the Roger Whitebeard effect where you don't double chain, you increase it, in this case by 4 times. You also get a tandem orb, which is better than block at least, but doesn't add that much damage. And yeah, final taps like this are mainly useful when you don't have a high chain to begin with. Like if you aim for super high chain, this doesn't give as much extra boost as, say, 2 times chain. But since this has been very useful on Radio Whitebeard, I'll say that is probably okay. But obviously, the unit in general is not as good as Radio Whitebeard. But yeah, these are the new units. Super excited to try Uta. Kizaru and Fuji screams filler, but has a unique mechanic, and unique mechanics are always interesting. But yeah, that's my initial impressions. I'll come with more impressions later, and when they drop, I'll be hurrying to try out Uta at least. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.